Every moment shines. Feel the rush as the reels spin. Breathe in our serene spa. Savor each bite in our award-winning steakhouse. And recharge in the comfort of our luxurious hotel. Cache Creek Casino Resort, proud partner of your Golden State Warriors. Please play responsibly.
Being in your bag isn't just for players on the court. With DoorDash, all of Dub Nation has a bag too. Scrolling late-night highlights? Have snacks on hand. Hosting a watch party? Get drinks, ice, and cups before tip-off. Low battery during tunnel walks? There's a charger delivered to where you are. DoorDash keeps your bag deep so you can keep up with the speed of the game. DoorDash, official partner of the Golden State Warriors. Thanks for showing up, Dub Nation. Nothing beats catching your Warriors live, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back. As the official ticket marketplace of the Warriors and the NBA, even if you're headed to the game last minute, Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can experience all the sights, sounds, and styles in person. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Warriors tickets today at Ticketmaster. Get tickets at Ticketmaster.com/Warriors. See you courtside again soon, Dub Nation.
Algunas noches nacen para quedarse.
El problema no es quererte.
Ricardo Arjona.
Es que tú no sientas lo
que el seco no dijo.
Sábado 14 de marzo, Chase Center. Boletos a la venta ya en Ticketmaster.com.
Ricardo Arjona en San Francisco. Se parte de la historia.
History's masterpieces wouldn't be the same without their most notable accents. Neither would the Kia Sportage without its multiple drive modes. The Kia Sorento without its expansive 12.3-inch panoramic display. Or the Kia Telluride without its 3 rows of spacious seating. The Kia SUVs. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Limited inventory available.
To Curry, pump fake, flyby, 3-ball. With the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-WHO.
Don't you wish you were here?
This Odyssey Sports broadcast was presented by ZipRecruiter. Looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The light.
Final will be 136-116. The Warriors winning wire-to-wire over Charlotte. They sweep the season series, and for the first time all year, Golden State is 5 games above 500. A convincing victory tonight for Golden State. They took hold of the game and never really let go.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Roy with the accurate description right there, as you just heard it on 95.7 The Game. Welcome into Warriors Wrap-Up. Mark Randy with you live from Chase Center as the Dubs win again, 136-116, the final score. The Warriors are now 11-4 in their last 15 games played, and they are continuing to churn out wins versus teams you feel like they should beat, which really is the biggest difference in this stretch versus the rest of the season for the Warriors. It's not as if they're beating all the top dogs in the NBA. They're just simply beating who they should beat. Now, tonight we could have an argument over if this is a team that they should beat every single time that they play, because the Warriors were actually the team that were down a key player in Jimmy Butler. Now, if you were listening to Warriors Live with me earlier today, you did hear me say the injury report was just Seth Curry and Guy Santos. Those two Warriors did not play. They were ruled out with injury. Seth Curry still dealing with that sciatic nerve irritation, and Guy Santos rolled his left ankle in the first quarter on Thursday versus the Knicks. So why were the Warriors without Jimmy Butler today? Well, it happened just before tip-off. Steph Curry was asked about it postgame when they found out, and he said literally especially as Steve Kerr was drawing up their first play on offense just before tip-off. Wasn't any kind of injury, wasn't anything like that. It was a personal reason that kept Jimmy Butler out, and the Warriors did not know about it until right before tip-off. So they got to adjust on the fly, and no Jimmy Butler. The Hornets' defensive strategy was clearly to take Steph Curry out of this basketball game. They limit him to just 12 shot attempts. He scored 14 points, made a couple of threes, 2 for 8 from downtown. But essentially, they do as good as they possibly can in eliminating Steph Curry from having an offensive game. So you look at this and you say, all right, no Jimmy Butler. Steph scores for his standards, subpar 14 points. It was because of the way he's defended, not because he had a terrible shooting night by any stretch. Yet the Warriors still score 136 points. They beat the Hornets by 20. Not a bad Hornets team, by the way. You get 24 points from D'Anthony Melton. You get 20 points from Draymond Green. You get 16 from Brandon Pajemski. You get 14 off the bench from Buddy Hield, who played his first meaningful minutes in quite a while, and you run away with a victory again versus an average basketball team. They're not bad by any stretch. They're not great, but they're a 500 basketball team over the last month and a half, 2 months. They're not a bad basketball team, and you ran away and beat them by 20. When you're down your second best player in Jimmy Butler, and they pretty successfully were able to limit your best player in Steph Curry. So this is a major, major, major step in the right direction for the Warriors. And I don't mean to overreact to just this one game, and I don't think I am. I do think this is one of the more encouraging signs for the Warriors in quite a while. Just think about what happened last weekend. Warriors at home versus the Hawks. A Hawks team that's kind of similar to this Hornets team. They're not a terrible team by any stretch, but no one's going to mistake them for, a legitimate playoff team. Maybe the Hawks. I mean, the Hawks, because the bottom of the East isn't great, the middle of the East either. They very well could be a play-in team, and maybe they sneak into the playoffs. Like, that's certainly possible. This Hornets team, you might feel like maybe is a year away from that. But that's the point, is that Atlanta team that was in here last weekend, they're not world beaters either. And you combined for 61 points from Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, and you got blown out in that game. So 61 points from Steph and Jimmy in a game in which you get blown out by an average at best Eastern Conference team. And then tonight, no Jimmy. Your opponents, the Hornets, hold Steph in check, and you win by 20. That is really, really encouraging if you are the Warriors. And we're going to hear from Steve Kerr coming up in a little bit here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Welcome in. It's Mark Randy with you here on 95.7 The Game. We got time for your calls and your texts at 888-957-9570. Before I shout out the text line, the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line, I want to make sure that I bring it up. Got in here a little bit late setting up because I wanted to listen to what Steph Curry had to say post-game, and we'll hear from Steph as well. You can also join the conversation on our YouTube chat, youtube.com/957thegame to join in. Again, a number of ways you can interact with the show. You can call, you can text. Those numbers are the same at 888-957-9570, and I'm getting our text line open right now. That's the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. The 360 already chiming in, the 510 already chiming in, the 408 already chiming in. Appreciate all you guys for interacting with the show here on Warriors Wrap Up. Now let me get the YouTube chat up, make sure I'm not missing anything over there on YouTube. You can join in there, youtube.com/957thegame. I know the Niners had a rough loss today in Seattle, and their season is over, so at least we have the Warriors to feel good about right now. And let's see, the chat chiming in, UCF, Pierce, let's see, Green-Eyed Rabbit, Apollo, Beard, Estimated, D-Lou, and a number of others. Appreciate all the comments coming in on the YouTube chat, as always. Okay, so, Jimmy Butler ruled out just before this game began with what was called by the Warriors personal reasons. I don't think anything beyond that has been released. Hopefully everything is okay with Jimmy, his family, his loved ones, his close friends. I don't know anything, but whenever you hear personal reasons, it's hard to not assume something bad like that. Don't know anything. Just hope everything is good with Jimmy and his loved ones. But the Warriors, they bounce back in a great way. They win 136-116, and again, I know it's just the Hornets, And if you want to yell at me and say that I'm overreacting, I'd love to hear from you. 888-957-9570. I think this was one of the more encouraging games of the Warriors season. And I know that this is like now an extended stretch where the Warriors are playing their best basketball of the season. They're now 11-4 in their last 15 games. I think this is probably the best they have felt about their team and the way that they're playing all season long. And I think they probably have the most momentum that they've ever had. But this game specifically, even if I'm looking at it in a vacuum and it's just this game alone, I forget about the 14 games before this where they were 10-4 in those 14, add in today's win, 11-4 in their last 15. If we just focus on what happened in this game, I think we find that this is very likely the most encouraging performance for the Warriors. Maybe not the entire season, but in quite a while. Like, we can point to those San Antonio games in San Antonio, right? Like, those were amazing performances, but even those, not that those were fluky, because Steph can go off for 50 and will you to a victory over anybody. That's how good he still is, but it's easy to identify how the Warriors won those games, right? Steph showed why he's one of the 5 best players, in my opinion, to ever play the game of basketball. And it's undebatable in my mind. He's one of the 10 best players to ever play the game of basketball. We could argue for hours and hours and hours about where he fits on that list. But Steph has that within him still, even at this age. He's now less than 2 months away from being 38 years old. He still has the ability to just summon it on a given night or on multiple given nights like he did in San Antonio and will you to a win against a really, really good San Antonio team. He did that. Those were encouraging. But it's also like, okay, if Steph scored 30 instead of 50, do they win that game? No, probably not. Like, it's easy to identify why the Warriors won those games. Denver early in the season, that was an overtime win. That was a really encouraging win. And there are others that we can choose from, and I'm not saying tonight was the most impressive win. I'm not saying that this shows the Warriors are one of the true, legitimate contenders in the Western Conference. I'm just telling you, I think given the circumstances of tonight, you find out just before tip that Jimmy Butler is not playing. You can tell from the jump, Charlotte's goal, their goal was, we're not going to let Steph score upwards of 25. We're just going to simply refuse to do it. There was this one moment in the, I believe it was in the second quarter, where it was Colin Sexton who was guarding Steph Curry. And there was a dead ball. I don't remember if it was a foul or maybe it was out of bounds. I don't think it was out of a timeout, but there was just a dead ball. The Warriors had the ball on their half of the court. The Warriors were on offense. They were inbounding. It was inbounding from the sideline near half court on the right side of the court from where I'm sitting in the media section. And Steph is kind of hanging out in front of the Hornets bench in that corner. And as he's walking around during this dead ball stoppage, Colin Sexton is just practically hugging him. Like, they're almost chest to chest. At times, maybe, Sexton's chest to Steph's back because he's just stuck on him 24/7. And that was just an encapsulation of what the game plan was for the Hornets. It was whoever's guarding Steph. In this instance, it was Colin Sexton. I'm just going to be a pest. I'm not going to leave your side. To the point where I'm going to be physically contacting you 24/7, even when the play's not going on. And what Steph did as a result of that was, I'm going to walk off the court and walk towards the tunnel. Right? And let's just see if Colin Sexton follows me. And guess what? Colin Sexton followed him. He walked with Steph off the court down towards the tunnel. Now, they only got 5-6 steps off the court. They did not go all the way down the tunnel. They didn't come close to going all the way down the tunnel, but they got past the bench and the first rows of seats. And Sexton was still following Steph. So, and Steph shared a laugh about it post-game, and we'll hear from Steph coming up. And he was asked actually if he's frustrated by the way that he was defended, and he said ultimately it's a sign of respect, but it is kind of frustrating in the moment. But that was just the perfect example of what Charlotte's game plan was. So, okay, you're the Warriors, and you get dealt a hand of no Jimmy Butler and an opponent who, frankly, I think this is a pretty smart game plan because at times it has really worked for opponents. You get dealt a hand of no Jimmy, and your opponent is just going to do whatever it takes to not let Steph get up a lot of shots. At the very least, not a lot of quality shots. And you win a game by 20 points. this was one of the most encouraging performances of the season for the Warriors. D'Anthony Melton has been a godsend. The man has been absolutely awesome of late. I see this text that just came in fact, a couple of texts on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line, 888-957-9570. The 224 said Melton has been balling out since his return, a hell of a return. The 650 writes, game ball to Melton, who is playing out of his mind since coming back from his ACL. Yeah, Melton probably was the best player on the floor for the Warriors tonight, although Draymond Green gave him a run for his money. Draymond was also awesome. More on Draymond in a sec, but Melton in 21 and a half minutes. So he did all this in 21 minutes and 27 seconds. Melton, 24 points. He was 8 for 16 from the field, and he was 3 for 6 from downtown, had 6 rebounds, had 3 assists, had a steal, and only turned the ball over once. And in a game in which the Warriors won by 20, he was a plus 24. Melton now, you look at what he's done in the month of January. D'Anthony Melton, in his last 7 games before tonight, 5 points, 23 points, 10 points, 19 points, 22 points, 5 points, 13 points. That's before tonight, an average of 14 points per game, 50% from the field, and 42.5% from downtown. Add to that tonight 24 points, 8 of 16 from the field, so 50% from the field tonight, 50% from deep at 3 for 6, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. 6 rebounds and 3 assists to go with 24 points on a very efficient shooting night for D'Anthony Melton. And over the last 8 games now in the month of January, he has been one of the Warriors' best players, and he's doing it on relatively limited minutes. His minutes total has been increased to 25 within the last couple of weeks. Steve Kerr was asked pregame if there is an update on when Melton might be able to play on back-to-backs. He said he was asking Rick Celebrini and the rest of the support staff about that, and the answer that he got was not exactly sure about the timeline on that. Not anytime soon, but it does seem like it is in the plan. It is a plan for the Warriors to eventually have Melton play in back-to-back games. But before that, we probably see his minutes allotment get bumped up even further, maybe from 25 minutes, which is kind of his max right now. Only played 21 and a half minutes tonight because the game was over with a handful of minutes left. But maybe he gets up to 27 minutes at some point soon. Regardless of if Melton plays back-to-backs, regardless if he ever can play 30 minutes in a night, which I do think is the goal eventually for the Warriors. Steve Kerr was asked, I can't remember exactly when. It might have been on with Willard and Dibbs this week on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, Steve Kerr joined the afternoon show here on 95.7 The Game, Willard and Dibbs on Wednesday. And I think the guys asked him about Melton and his minutes totals. And he essentially said, when he's able to, we can play him 30 minutes every night because he's the kind of player that you have to give 30 minutes to. And the 30-minute, That phrase that came out of Steve Kerr's mouth was not brought up by either Willard or Dibbs, who asked the question. Steve Kerr volunteered that 30 minutes himself. Does not mean that that's what's going to happen, say, next week, but it does seem like that 30-minute mark might be a goal the Warriors have for D'Anthony Melton. And when that comes, just think of the impact that this guy's going to have on this team. And it's why, frankly, and I've been catching some flack for this, and frankly, I don't blame anyone, because through the first 40 games of this season, and really the first 35 games of this season, it was looking really, really dire. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think the Warriors are guaranteed to be a top 6 seed right now. The momentum that they have right now, the way that they're playing right now, makes that feel a whole lot more possible than it was a couple of weeks ago. But what you're getting from D'Anthony Melton right now, what you're getting from Al Horford right now, this is kind of what I envisioned the Warriors would look like at the beginning of the season. And I know Melton was out. Once they reacquired D'Anthony Melton, once they signed Al Horford, what I thought the Warriors would be when they're fully healthy is something similar to what we saw tonight, which was a deep team that does not need Steph or Jimmy to go crazy to beat, an average team in the Eastern Conference. You have a handful of players that can chip in, and you get all those players shipping in on, I mean, not all of them, but a good chunk of them on any given night, and you cruise to a 20-point victory in a game where your second-best player does not play, and your best player is strategically taken out of the game by the opponents. There are a lot of moments in the past for the Warriors. That's this year. That's last year. That's a couple of years ago. It's really post 2022 championship, where if Steph is, targeted well by an opposing defense to the point where he only gets up 12 shots and doesn't go like 10 for 12 on those shots, the Warriors lose those games. The Warriors have been so incredibly Steph dependent, and so much of it is a compliment to Steph, because when you're as good as Steph is, your best course of action as the Warriors is to get Steph a ton of looks, and if he makes them, you're going to win. But what happened tonight was you're down Jimmy Butler. Steph is, not taken out of the game entirely. He scored 14 points, but it was nothing like a classic Steph Curry scoring game. It's not because anything that he did wrong. It's because of what Charlotte was willing to give up. But there are nights where that's the case, and Moody can't make shots. Podziemski struggles to make shots. Draymond has an off-shooting night. D'Anthony Melton, maybe he wasn't available or wasn't in this rhythm. Al Horford goes 0 for 5 from downtown, right? That's happened so many times this year. Tonight was different. 24 points from D'Anthony Melton. 20 points from Draymond Green, who I thought was awesome in this game. He was 8 for 14 from the field and 4 for 8 from downtown. He also had 3 rebounds and 6 assists in this one. You got 16 points from Podziemski, who kind of quietly over the last handful of games has put together a lot of really solid basketball, and over the course of the entire season is still shooting 40% from downtown. It's one of the quieter 40% shooting, three-point shooting seasons that I can remember in recent memory for the Warriors. But you got 16 more from Podziemski, and he was 5 for 9 from the field, 3 for 6 for downtown, had 6 rebounds, had as well, did Podziemski 7 assists. So he had 16 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, did not turn the ball over. Like, you got so many contributions from up and down. How about Will Richard? What Will Richard did today, 11 points, 5 of 12 from the field, made a 3 on 5 attempts. Not a great shooting night from Will Richard, but he did all the small things. All of the small things in this game. The hustle, the offensive rebounds, the timely passing to a cutting Quentin Post in the first half for a bucket. And this is where I think the Warriors, what's the right way to describe this? The roles fit better, right? This is where I think Podziemski has run into issues in the past. And some of it is his own doing because of what he said about what he wants for himself, and there's nothing wrong with dreaming big, but when you say things publicly like, I want to be the next face of the franchise, when Steph and Draymond and Jimmy are done here, I want them to hand the keys off to me. Like, it's great to dream big, and it's great to have aspirations, but when you say things like that publicly, and then at times maybe you don't live up to those really lofty goals, you rightly should be held to that standard. But where Podziemski's at his best, and I think where he's been allowed to be at his best of late, is when he doesn't have to be the guy to drive the bus, when he doesn't have to be the guy that is leading the way on offense, does not have to be the guy that is asked or needed to score 20 points a game in order for the Warriors to have a chance. But when the others are rolling and cooking and he can get those others involved, it doesn't matter who the others are. It could be Steph, it could be Jimmy, it could be Melton, it could be Horford, it could be Buddy Hield, who came off the bench and played meaningful minutes for the first time in a while. Anybody that has it going, that is what allows Podziemski to then be at his best, because he can then connect one player to the next. He can focus on doing a lot of the small things and the dirty work. That's where he's at his best. But where he kind of gets lost is if there's nobody else that has their offense going and he has to kind of take it upon himself to do a little bit more. That's where he's not that kind of player in my mind. But what he is good at, and he's very, very good at it, is when the other players on the team have an offensive rhythm going, are making shots, are hitting the open shots that he is helping create, are cutting at the right times so he can find them, that are boxing out, allowing him to race into the last second and tap a ball away from a defensive rebounder and create an extra possession. And that's what he's been doing. And the Warriors' hot shooting from everybody around him has opened all of those little nooks and crannies up for him to sneak into. And that's where his impact is really magnified. And I thought tonight that was on display as well. The Warriors just got contributions from everybody tonight. And for me, again, we could come back on Monday, the Warriors' next game, and maybe instead of going 23 for 52 from downtown, they go 9 for 47. Maybe not 47 attempts. That would be absurd if they were at 9 for 47, but 9 for 42 from deep, right? Like, that could happen. Like, it happened versus Atlanta. They made 10 threes on 40-something attempts. Like, that could happen, and I would be sitting here telling you, man, they just had a terrible shooting game, and when their shots aren't falling, man, they are a hard basketball team to watch. But when their shots are falling, and a lot of these shots are from plus shooters, right? Like, Melton has proven he's a plus shooter. Al Horford, gigantic, huge career, plus shooter, despite what the numbers suggested early this season. Same goes for Melton. He was 17% from 3 at one point this season. Throw those numbers out. He hadn't played in nearly 2 years. He's a plus shooter. Horford is a plus shooter. We know Steph Curry is a plus shooter. Podziemski, believe it or not, a 40% shooter from downtown. Moody of late has been a plus shooter. 4 for 6 from deep tonight. He made 7 the other night. Now, he has been kind of very hot and cold over the course of the season. If he just gets any kind of consistency from the three-point line, that's going to be big for the Warriors. Who else is a plus shooter for the Warriors? I mean, Will Richard hasn't been amazing, but he's been capable from that spot as well. Jimmy Butler's having a career night as well, or career year as well in terms of the three-point shot. So a lot of the shots the Warriors are creating are for good three-point shooters, and something that I asked Steph tonight, and we'll hear Steph's presser coming up in a little bit, is, not only have the Warriors had 10 different players make a three in 3 consecutive games, which is crazy. Think about that. 3 straight games played, 10 different Warriors have made a three in each of those games. But also in those last 3 games, they've made 20 or more threes in all 3 of those games. 23 versus the Trailblazers, 20 on Thursday versus the Knicks, and 23 again tonight versus the Hornets. And what I asked Steph was, is this just kind of a hot shooting stretch, or is this who you believe that you guys can be? And we'll hear his answer coming up in a little bit, but essentially what he said was, well, you're never going to make 20, 23 threes every single night, but based on the looks that we're getting and the players taking those threes, we would like to believe that more often than not, we will have this kind of shooting night than, say, the night against the Hawks when they made just 10 threes on a similar number of attempts. So that's the formula for the Warriors. When it works, it looks absolutely amazing, and you score 136 points. When it doesn't work, it is very frustrating because it feels like the process is working offensively. It's not resulting in points, and you get blown out by an average Atlanta team. But the bet the Warriors are making is these quality shooters will, over the course of a long season, make those threes more often than not, or at least they'll make them at a 40% clip more often than not. And of late, that's been the case. 3 straight games, 20-plus made threes for the Warriors as a team. You make 20 threes in the NBA in today's day and age, you will win a lot of basketball games because today's game is so much just about the three-point line. So many times, the correlation between the team that wins the three-point battle and wins the game is very high. And the Warriors, guess what, won the three-point battle. They made 7 more threes than the Hornets tonight, which means they were plus 21 in the three-point battle. And, guess what? They won this game by 20. Plus 21 in the three-point line, they won the game by 20 points. It's funny the way that works out. 888-957-9570. Let's go out to the phone lines as we continue to discuss this Warrior win over the Hornets, 136-116. Eric is in Millbrae and wants to weigh in. What's up, Eric? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up. Mark Randy with you. What do you got?
Hey, what's up, man? We wanted to find out the Warriors. We're going to have a step back, overlook a team, man. You're thinking, when they said, now speaking, Butler was out, you're thinking, oh, man, it's going to be a tough one tonight. Curry's probably going to have to go nuclear, 40-plus for them to win this game because Charlotte, even though the record's not great, they still got a lot of young talent, and they're a tough team. And they just came off a win where they smashed the Lakers in L.A.
Yep.
So this is a team that has some very impressive wins, even though they're still an up-and-coming team, and they got talent like Miller and Bridges and Knipple. Well, I like him. He's going to be a stud rookie for them out of Duke. And so I was thinking this is really going to be a tough game, and luckily I was wrong. I just love the way they came out. They're winning like the old Warriors, the strength in numbers, where they don't have to have Curry carry the load for them to have to struggle to win games now, luckily. And I hope that continues here. And as you mentioned, kudos to Melton, man. What a godsend his return has been back. So they've been playing, luckily, their best basketball since I think he came back. So you're seeing what a difference maker. Draymond, one of his best all-around games tonight. Just so many guys really contributed. Podemski, very efficient off the bench. So it looks pretty right now. So even though with all the gloom and doom, the Warriors are playing their best stretch of basketball here and taking advantage of this home court here at Chase Center. So we want to see if this continues. Luckily, they got two more tough teams, Gritty and a tough Miami team, and then Toronto is one of the better teams in the league. So, everything is looking up and up. Even with all the Kuminga nonsense, the Warriors are just locked in, playing well right now as a team unit, and I just love the balance from this team right now, starters and the bench. So if they continue like this, man, and they're really starting to make hay up the standings there, and that's what we wanted to see out of this team. So I just hope this continues, man, because I'm loving what I'm seeing out of this team. So Dub Nation, even with all the doom and gloom right now, they're still playing their best basketball, and hopefully this continues. And great win tonight, and let's finish out strong the next two home games at Chase Center. Thanks for the time, man.
Yeah, appreciate the call. Always love hearing from you, Eric. Things are really, really coming along. Now, again, we have to be careful because I think the Atlanta game, as ugly as it largely was a good process, right? Like, they created a lot of good looks. Those shots did not fall. And that is kind of the story of today's NBA. Like, you win games generally if you create better looks from downtown than your opponent does. And a lot of that, of course, comes into how good are you at defending the three-point line. But generally, shot quality, and if you consistently create better shots than your opponents, you will win. The thing that changes that, of course, is you just run into a team that has a crazy lights-out shooting night. They make contested threes all night long, or you miss your open threes all night long. And that, of course, can swing things. I think that's kind of what happened in that Atlanta game. It does not excuse it, because the Warriors defensively in that game were really, really poor. And they allowed Jalen Johnson and Nneka Okongwu and others on the Hawks to kind of control that basketball game. But like, performances like that will happen. And just like it's, I think, important to not overreact to a poor shooting night if the shots were of a high quality like Atlanta, it's also not wise to overreact to the other extreme, which is a great shooting night, especially if the shots were not of a great quality. You just happen to make all of those. And we know what that looks like when it happens. I think consistently now for the Warriors, their last 4 games, they have consistently created really good looks. And the Warriors have said over and over and over, and I at times, you've heard me disagree about it on this very show, on this very station, they think they are one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. They think that is a major strength of theirs. They shoot the most threes out of anybody else in the league per game. Percentage-wise, they're middle of the pack. So I think for the most part, the numbers suggest that it's not, a major strength. They're hoping that it is. Now, but we do have 4 consecutive games, in my opinion, where you are creating really good looks consistently for good shooters. And 3 of those 4 games, those looks have gone in at a pretty high clip. And the Warriors are 3-1 in those 4 games. Like, if you just do that at anywhere near that kind of consistency going forward, you will win a lot of games, and I guarantee you will be a top 6 seed in the Western Conference. So it's interesting the way that it all plays out. Of course, it's a make or miss league. You make your shots, you win. You miss your shots, you lose. But of course, it's easier to make those shots when they're good shots. And I think what has been pretty consistent for a while is the Warriors are making those shots. And, they could come out on Monday versus the Heat, create all of the same looks and miss them. And we'll be talking about, man, is this team really a good three-point shooting team? But you look at what the personnel is now. And, let's just say let's just forget about Draymond. Let's say Draymond doesn't make 4 of his 8 threes. Say he goes 2 for 7, right? Which is, somewhat closer to what his percentage is. Although, for the most part, he's actually been pretty good three-point shooting. But, we can agree 4 for 8 is above average for Draymond from downtown. Let's say he goes 2 for 7. All right, you're still 21 for 51 from downtown tonight. This is not just a one fluky shooting performance away from being an okay or a poor shooting game. From downtown for the Warriors. They still would have made 19 threes tonight if Draymond didn't make a single one. And GP2 made just 1 3 tonight. He only attempted 1, but you take that away, it's still, 22 for 51 night from downtown for the Warriors. They have a lot of good shooters that are shooting the ball well right now. Now, again, that can change. At times, it's felt like the Warriors, all of their shooters, maybe other than Steph, have been off at the same time. Now it kind of feels like they're all on at the same time, but that could switch. This is a long season. The Warriors still have 39 more games left. They're not gonna make 20 or more threes every single game the rest of the season. But I think I personally have a little bit of a renewed confidence that this is a better three-point shooting team than I was giving them credit for early in the season, because Melton is now hitting at a high clip. You see the vision with Al Horford and bringing him into this group. And Moses Moody of late has been hitting his threes. Moody, I think, is still an X factor. If he's hitting threes, this team feels entirely different offensively. And he hit one tonight that wasn't just a catch-and-shoot 3. He, in transition, dribbled into a 3 and took it. That tells you one thing, that Moses Moody is confident as hell right now. And that is a great thing for the Warriors. And if he's hitting his threes anywhere near a 40% clip, this team takes a step forward, maybe even a leap forward. So the three-point shooting is a really, really encouraging sign for the Warriors, because we know what they are defensively. I don't think they're an elite defensive team. Some of the defensive metrics suggest they are. The eye test, I think, kind of disagrees. They're not a bad team. They are definitely a good defensive team. If you can just become a good offensive team consistently the rest of the season, you're going to win a lot of basketball games. And I think Moody's three-point shooting is a key part of that as well. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from Steve Kerr, from Steph Curry, plus more time for your calls and your text at 888-957-9570 to join in on the conversation. One hell of a Warrior win today, picking up some spirits from around the Bay after the Niners got blown out in Seattle. But this was a nice bounce back for the Bay. The Dubs win 136-116. They are now 24-19, a season high, 5 games over 500. Time for a break. Mark Randy with you live from Chase Center here on 95.7 The Game. Back with more Warriors wrap-up right after this.
Looking for lifelong financial guidance? Look no further than Pettinelli Financial Partners, your dedicated financial coaches for every stage of life's journey. Whether you're planning for retirement, starting a family, or buying a home, we're here for you every step of the way. Visit PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and Pettinelli are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
What if you had the smartest Wi-Fi? If you did, it'd be Xfinity, of course, and it'd come with their best state-of-the-art equipment. It would boost speeds to the devices that need it the most, prioritizing your most important connections, whether you were streaming, gaming, or gaming while pretending to work. And it would let you stream 4. That's right, 4 games on one screen. It would even power your mobile connection so you could bring faster, secure Wi-Fi speeds with you where you use it most. It would be proactive and fix problems before you knew you had them. Impressive, right? And it would have security features that protect you from threats at home and online. Kinda like a force field for your life. If you had the smartest Wi-Fi, well, everything would work together seamlessly to keep you connected, no matter what. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
Where will 2026 take you? With a skills-based education from University of Maryland Global Campus, it could take you toward your next success. An accredited state university, UMGC helps working adults like you learn the skills you need for the career you want. And with no application fee through February 11th, there's no better time to start. Choose from more than 135 degrees and certificates in career-relevant fields like business, cybersecurity, healthcare, and more. Plus, UMGC offers online and hybrid classes, no-cost digital resources in place of textbooks for most courses, personalized support, and lifetime career services. And with transfer credits and scholarships for those who qualify, UMGC can help you take a leap forward no matter where you are on your education journey. Classes start soon. Apply now and get your application fee waived through February 11th. Visit umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Hey, it's Willard for Underdog. As we know, these football playoffs, hot and heavy, they're underway. So let's keep playing here on Underdog, the best place to get in on the action, because you can make picks and win money right now in California. Playing on Underdog, as I've been telling you, is easy. You pick your favorite players and their stats. You go higher or lower, pair them together. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at these 2 1 seeds and their quarterbacks, and I'm thinking defensive struggles, so I'm going lower on passing yardage for both Bo Nix and Sam Darnold. What are you waiting for? Download the app today. Use my promo code, Willard, to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, the promo code, my last name, Willard. Underdog, make picks, win money. Got to be 18 or over and present in California. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. If you're concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or go to ncpgambling.org.
Your home is your sanctuary. Keep it that way with the beauty and performance of Milgard Windows and Doors. From the elegant Tuscany series to the modern slim profile Trinsic series, Milgard offers energy-efficient solutions and lifetime warranty options. At Ashby Lumber, our experts are here to help you find the perfect Milgard fit for your project, whether you're a DIYer or a professional contractor. Visit our dedicated door and window showrooms in Berkeley or Concord to see the Milgard difference in person. Start your project today at ashbylumber.com. Ashby Lumber, your trusted building partner since 1968.
Paramount Plus is the new home of UFC, and we're coming out swinging with UFC 324.
Oh, what a shot!
And 325. On back-to-back weekends, the new era is here.
It's time!
Every fight.
Bam!
One subscription.
Oh my goodness!
Pay-per-view just got knocked out. Back-to-back blockbuster UFC events this month, only on Paramount Plus.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ-FM and HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries. Always live on the free Odyssey app and now coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios.
Moses Moody holding the ball on the logo, gets it to Draymond. Draymond now drives and goes up and scores. Kalkbrenner kind of shaded towards Steph Curry, and Draymond took advantage and laid it in. Looks for an outlet, but Curry being shadowed by Sion James can't get free. Draymond and post play catch up top. Curry a back cut. And James just wraps him up around the waist. The shot's up, it's good. Boom for a 3 for Draymond, and it's an 8-2 start. Curry to Draymond. Draymond wants to get the ball to Curry. Draymond will take a 3 instead and hit another one. Draymond his 4th 3 of the night. Makes it 116-105 Warriors. He's shooting at 38% of late.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
How about that from Draymond Green? You just heard 3 of his threes that he made tonight. That was Tim Roy on the call for all of them, of course, the voice of the Warriors right here on 95.7 The Game. Draymond made 4 in total. He had 20 points, which led all Warriors starters in this game. 20 points for Draymond Green, 8 for 14 from the field, 4 for 8 from downtown, had 3 rebounds and 6 assists. The Warriors win this game thanks partly because of Draymond Green's offense, 20 points for Draymond Green, but the star of this game offensively was DeAnthony Melton with those 24 points. And how about this for the Warriors? First of all, welcome back. Warriors wrap up. Mark Randy with you live here on 95.7 The Game. If you want to weigh in, give me a call, shoot me a text, 888-957-9570. That's both the number to call, and you can join me here on the air, or the number to text, and that's the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. We also have the YouTube chat flowing, as always, youtube.com/957thegame, and it's a busy YouTube chat right now. However, I am seeing a lot of conversation on the YouTube chat about the Niners, and I understand that makes sense. Niners, a really rough loss versus the Seahawks. That game felt over right when it started thanks to a Rashid Shaheed kickoff return for a touchdown. Then you saw the flag. You saw the flag on the field, and you're wondering, okay, it's going to get called back. Phew. But ultimately, it was a flag on Pinheiro for trying to trip Shaheed as a way to tackle him near midfield. But anyway, I'm going to go home. I mean, I guess you guys could let me know. Should I even go home and watch that game based on the little bits and pieces I saw here at Chase? I probably shouldn't watch it. Maybe I'll save myself and just skip the game, not watch it at all. But it looked like it was just an absolute terrible showing by the Warriors, and it was all the way over. I will say, I came into this weekend feeling a little bit frustrated that I wasn't going to be able to watch the Niner game, that I was, here at Chase working the Warrior game and doing Warriors post-games, pre-games and post-games. It's a blessing, and I love hanging out with you guys after all these games. But it's a Niners playoff game. It's Seattle, in Seattle, right? This felt like a big deal. But once I saw what the score was, especially at halftime, honestly, there was a big part of me that was kind of thankful that I was here doing the Warrior game at Chase Center, because the Warriors actually gave us something to cheer about and be happy about. The YouTube chat says, don't watch it. That came from Damon. UCF or UC Fanatic says, save yourself 3 hours. Also says, nah, you got to enjoy the weekend. Let's see. Who else? Estimated Eye says, I feel bad for Grandy. I appreciate that. D-Lou says, no, Grandy, don't watch unless you like Eddie Pinheiro kicks. Fair enough. Maybe I won't watch the full game. I might have said terrible showing by the Warriors. I meant terrible showing by the Niners. The Warriors came out and played really good basketball. But it was nice for the Warriors to give the Bay Area sports fans something to cheer about tonight. There's no doubt about that. Final score, Warriors 136, Hornets 116. How about this? In a game in which Jimmy Butler did not play, and if you're just joining us or you missed it earlier, just before the game, Jimmy Butler was ruled out due to personal reasons. He was announced as a starter, and then literally moments before the players took the court for tip-off, Jimmy Butler was ruled out. He was not on the bench. He was not with the team tonight. All we know is he was ruled out for personal reasons. I hope everything is all right with Jimmy and everyone close to him. But no Jimmy Butler, and which means one of your bench players has to then become a starter tonight, and it was Will Richard that started. Yet the Warriors bench still outscored their starting 5. The starting 5 was Curry, Richard, Moody, Draymond Green, and Quentin Post. Everybody else that played tonight, of course, came off the bench. And how about this? The Warriors starters scored 64 points, and the Warriors bench scored 72 points. How about that? The Warriors bench 72 points and outscored their starting 5 tonight, led, of course, by 24 points from DeAnthony Melton, 16 off the bench from Brandon Pajemski. You got 14 from Buddy Hield in his first real important action, non-garbage time action in quite a while. You also got 11 off the bench from Al Horford, who made 2 threes, was 4 for 7 from the field. It was a strength in numbers kind of win, as I think one of our callers mentioned earlier, and that is definitely an accurate way to describe it. I got some questions on the text line that I want to get to. The 408 wrote in a bit ago, and I want to answer your question, 408, about if the Warriors have turned a corner. We'll get to that. First, I want to hear from Steve Kerr, though. I have not heard Steve Kerr just yet. The way the Warriors run their post games is Steph Curry talks first. I'm able to hang out for that, then I make my way over here to our broadcast location. So I have not yet heard Steve Kerr talk. Let's hear from Steve Kerr post game here at Chase Center after the Warriors knocked off the Hornets 136-116. Here is Steve Kerr talking after another Warriors victory.
Hey, Steve, this is a third straight game with at least 23s and a third one where at least 10 players have made a three, which I guess shows that it's not just one guy getting hot from behind the arc. What do you think the team is doing to create consistently these open looks that are allowing you guys to get these kind of numbers?
Well, we're taking care of the ball, and we're pushing the ball in transition. Our spacing is great. And with Melton and Al playing at the level they are, it just adds another dynamic to our game. You know, Melt getting downhill to the rim, drawing help. Now the ball swings. People are getting open threes. So both those guys, I think, playing at such a high level has changed our team. The depth of our team right now is really our strength.
Going on to that depth, 8 guys scored in double figures for this game. What is that? How do you attribute that to? Is it the conditioning? Is it the training staff to have that many guys just constantly scoring? Well,
it's the roster. You know, we've got a very deep team. We've got a lot of guys who can play, and we've been playing, you know, a pretty big rotation now for a couple weeks. Obviously, Jimmy was a late scratch, so we slid Will up and played a 10-man rotation. But we've been playing an 11-man rotation the last couple weeks and just trying to take advantage of, you know, the number of good players we have, and a lot of those guys can really score on any given night.
Looking ahead to next game, you guys had a wire-to-wire victory. The Heat had a very tough win, last-second win against the Thunder. How does that kind of go into your mindset? Are you going to try and run them off because they're obviously going to be tired on a short week and traveling cross-country?
Well, we played Miami, 6 weeks ago or so in Miami. They run a pretty unique style, unique system. And, they beat us down there. We know we have to stay in front of them. They're really an attacking team, and they're playing well. So, as you said, we've got to be ready for them. But, I mean, we're not going to change the way we play based on how they're playing. We're just going to do what we do.
Steve, have you talked at all to Jimmy since?
I have not talked to him, but I got word from Mike that everything is fine. He just had a personal thing that came up right before the game, but everything is fine.
Not expected to be anything long term?
I don't think so.
Did you expect to have Buddy as part of the rotation tonight, or was that a correlation?
No, he kind of slid in for Jimmy, just kind of the domino effect there.
Just how rewarding was it to see Buddy have the kind of impact that he had tonight?
It's great. He's one of the best teammates I've ever seen. Just the way he conducts himself, his energy, his joy, whether he's playing or not, his just the light that he brings to the locker room every day is infectious and powerful, and he's just an incredible guy to coach. So I was happy for him to, that he had that night, given that he's been out of the loop for a while.
What was Will's reaction when he found out he's in the starting lineup, and how did he sort of respond?
I mean, it honestly happened after they announced the starters, after Jimmy was announced, and somebody came up to me and told me he was out. And we just kind of looked around and, oh, there's Will. Let's start him. So... Yeah, no plan. We didn't, it happened so late, we didn't really have time. But, Will has started a lot of games for us this year, early in the season. He connects a lot of lineups. He just seemed like the logical fit off the bat.
I kind of asked you this a little bit the other night, but, Melton again, 24 tonight. Is the scoring punch surprising you? I mean, even in his 6 games last year, it was a lot of glue stuff. Right now, it's heavy scoring off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, he's he's always been capable. He's never been a huge scorer, but the speed, the athleticism, the shooting, he's always been very capable. And he had a game at OKC last year where I think he had 20 or something, and we won. And it was, they're obviously so talented, and the way he looked out there with his speed, matching up with their speed, just he felt like the perfect fit. And then I think he was done, maybe the next game. I think he tore his ACL. And so we saw it last year, and I'm just so happy for him. He's really been out of the league for about 2 years, and so to see him having so much success after all the work he's put in, the rehab, it's fantastic. He's just an awesome guy. He's a great teammate. You pull for him, always ready for any role he's going to play, and it's just fun to see him, back in the groove.
Steve, you mentioned about the depth of this team and the way the bench has been scoring. I think they had 70 points tonight off the bench there. Do you feel like now this team's really starting to gel, even with the 10, 11-man rotation that you got going now with this team?
Yeah, we're in a good groove. We needed this homestand, and we've got 2 games left on the homestand, so we've got to keep it going. 2 tough teams coming in. But this is the most momentum we've had since we started out 4-1. And but it feels good. It feels like a lot of guys are really contributing, and we're really taking care of the ball night after night, and allowing ourselves to to get shots on goal over and over again. And when we do that, you see how much firepower we have, and so that's been the big shift. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it came on this homestand with lots of rest, and it's the first time we've felt really settled, I think, in a while. Thanks.
All right, that's Steve Kerr postgame after the Warriors knocked off the Hornets 136-116. I think what he said there at the very end is this is the most momentum we've had since we started out 4-1. And this is an extended stretch of really good play. And I guess you could break it down in a number of different subcategories. Like the Warriors are 11-4 in their last 15 games. That's a pretty big stretch where there are, a pretty heavily, positive set of results. But mixed in there, kind of strangely, are some really weird losses, right? The loss in Toronto, where they blew that down the stretch. It should not have even gone to overtime. It did because they could not take care of the ball. Then they get blitzed by the Raptors in OT, and they lose that game. It includes the 1-point loss to the Clippers in LA, where you felt like a little snake bit by officiating, but you also let that game get out of control, and you had it. It felt like, and you had a chance actually to win the game at the buzzer, but you couldn't get a shot to go. It includes the OKC loss where you sat all your veterans and you got blown out. That one, you wipe that one away. You don't even think about it. It includes the Atlanta loss where you lost by 13, but you were down by like 25 in the fourth quarter, where Steph and Jimmy combined for 61 points, yet you're still not even close in that game in the fourth quarter. So there's been like some odd results in an otherwise very positive stretch, 11-4 in their last 15 games. But also you can think about just the last 6 games. The Warriors are 5-1 in their last 6. And you got a win over Milwaukee, a dominant win over the Kings, a pretty dominant win over Portland, down a star, a pretty good win over New York, down a star, and a dominant win tonight versus a Charlotte team when you were down a star and they were relatively healthy. Down Moussa Diabate, down Plumlee, but not down one of their stars. You were the team that was more impacted, you would think, by the injury or by the players not playing today, because Jimmy Butler, as you heard Steve Kerr just talk about, they found out just before the game tipped. And I don't mean just like 20 minutes before tip. I mean literally after he was announced as a starter on the court. They found out after that, moments away from tip-off. And the Warriors, they found a way to control this basketball game really from start to finish. There were a couple of moments in the third quarter, in the fourth, where you kind of maybe got a little sense like, ooh, this game might be turning here. But the Warriors, both of those times, responded with a big run. Draymond made a big 3. Moody made a big 3. Podziemski made a big 3. They had an and one for Melton. Melton took over at multiple stretches in the second half specifically. He finished with 24 points after having just 8 in the first half, so 16 points in the second half for Melton, and specifically in the third quarter, Melton had 13 points. He took over in the third quarter, helped the Warriors build that big lead, and ultimately they win by 20 points. Final score 136-116. Hell of a performance by the Warriors down Jimmy Butler. 888-957-9570. We will hear from Steph Curry in just a second. You're going to want to hear some of the things that he had to say about the way the Hornets were defending him, plus about the Warriors shooting. You will want to hear from Steph, I promise. For now, though, let's go out to Chardol in Fremont, who wants to join the conversation and talk about this Warrior win as the Dubs win 136-116. They are now 5 games over 500 for the first time this season at 24-19. And also, before we get out of here tonight, we'll take a look at some of the other scores from around the Western Conference. The Warriors did not get some help in New York. The Knicks, they fell to the Suns. We'll talk more about that. There's also one more result still out there that I will tell you about that Warrior fans will want to know. First, though, Chardol in Fremont joins the conversation now. What's up, Chardol? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Hey, Mark Grandy. It's great calling the Warriors Wrap-Up. And I love listening to your show in the car after a win. As the Golden State Warriors taking on the Charlotte Hornets 136-116, they win by 20. I think this was a dominant victory for the Dubs. They have a well-built roster consisting of Moses Moody, Will Richard, and Stephen Curry, and many others. And I was at the 49ers watch party today at Dave & Buster's. That was a heartbreaking loss for the 49ers, man. Like, the Seahawks literally took over the whole game. I was there. We won't be moving on to the NFC Championship game, which hurts in its own right, but I'll get over it as a Niner fan. I know this team will learn from all the mistakes, but it was great calling to Warriors Wrap-Up, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, Chardol. You too. This is Warriors Wrap-Up, though. We're not talking about the Niners. Come on, Chardol. I appreciate the call, and I'm just playing. Yeah, it was a rough night for Niner fans. There's no doubt about it. But at least the Warriors, they gave us something to cheer about with that final score of 136-116. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Chardol. But what you said earlier about the way the Warriors roster is constructed, like, this is, I think, kind of what a lot of us, if you were confident in the Warriors coming into this season, and I was one of them, I know I've been getting a lot of crap from Dibs on Willard and Dibs, a show that that I work on throughout the week here on 95.7 The Game, because I said taking the Warriors over win total was easy money. And that was, I said 48 wins, I think, at least for the Warriors this season. And the way the season had been going, I've been getting a lot of crap from Dibs about that because it was not positive at all. Now, I'm not here to say Dibs, they're going to get that number now. We'll see how it all plays out. They're playing great basketball right now, but they've only won 24 games. There's 39 left. They could get there, of course, but it would take an extended stretch of really, really good basketball. There's no doubt. What I will say, though, is the reason that I thought they would win, close to 50 games at least, is because my vision for what this Warriors roster would look like is kind of similar to what we saw tonight and really what we've seen for the last week, 2 weeks. And specifically, I'm talking about like this stretch where you have 2 more games on this homestand. So the last, 9 games where you've had 8 games at home and all 8 games in the state of California and, no back-to-backs. Except I get one back-to-back, but the first game of that back-to-back was the OKC game where you sat everybody. So that was kind of not even really a back-to-back because Steph didn't play, Jimmy didn't play, Draymond didn't play, and all those guys were available and ready for the next game because they did not play in that front end of the back-to-back. But essentially no back-to-backs, all in California. Really, this stretch has kind of been more what I envisioned. And the key to that is Melton and Al Horford. Once Melton got back from his ACL, shook some of the rust off, and you don't expect him to shoot 50% from deep for the rest of the season, of course not. But as a defender, as a ball handler, as a driver, as a distributor, as a finisher around the rim, which has surprised me, those are the things that, again, I wasn't expecting this kind of finishing, but I knew he could do the other things. I knew he could shoot the ball. I knew he could defend. I knew he could dribble. I knew he could pass. I was expecting him to be able to do all those things, and now he is doing those things. Al Horford, I knew that he could rebound. I knew that he could be a positive presence defensively in the paint. I knew that he could hit the open three, and he hasn't been doing that, specifically the shooting early in the season, but he has been now. Now, those two could maybe very easily take steps back, and maybe the shooting falls off, and it's possible. But when I was thinking about what this Warrior team could be, or what I thought they would be this season, a big part of it was because of what I thought Horford and Melton could do. And for the first really like 30-plus games of the season, they hadn't been doing that. And for Melton specifically, it makes a lot of sense. He was out and didn't play for like the first 20 games of the season. And really, even since he's been back, it has been a struggle because he hasn't played, as Steve Kerr said, in basically 2 years. So it all makes sense, and it's understandable. But now that they are playing like that, it gives you a glimpse into what the Warriors could be if you get that kind of performance from those two specifically, consistently going forward. And again, tonight, you did it without Jimmy Butler. Now, it's just the Hornets. I understand that, but it's impressive nonetheless, because how many times would it take 60 combined points for Steph and Jimmy just to be close versus any team? I'm not talking about the OKCs and the Denvers and the Detroits and the Knicks of the world. I'm not talking about those teams. I'm talking about just any team in the league. Not like the bottom of the barrel, not the Pelicans, right? Not the Jazz, right? Not those kinds of teams. But we're talking about an average, middle-of-the-pack basketball team. The Warriors often would need greatness from Steph and Jimmy, and specifically Steph, to be close and to win those games. They are without Jimmy tonight. The Hornets actively try to take Steph out of the game, and they did a pretty good job at that. He scored 14 points on 12 shots. And you win a game by 20. Like that hasn't really been the equation for a lot of Warrior wins this year, but tonight it was, and I think that's really encouraging. 888-957-9570 if you want to join in. We got a few more things to hit on before we get out of here. We'll take a look at some of the scores from around the Western Conference. Before we do that, though, let's hear from Steph Curry, because I thought he said a few interesting things about this shooting that we've been talking a lot about here on Warriors Wrap-Up. Let's hear from Steph. Then we'll wrap things up. If you got any more of your calls or your texts that you want to weigh in. I do want to answer that text that I pointed out as well earlier from the 408. I did not forget about you, 408. I will get to you and that question before we leave here tonight as well. Right now, though, Steph Curry talking to the media after a 14-point performance in a Warrior 20-point win over the Hornets. Here's Steph Curry postgame.
Steph, when did you guys get word that Jimmy wouldn't be playing, and what changes? I mean, how'd you guys flip, move on from that quick to get out to the start you guys did tonight?
Literally, as coach was drawing up the play before the jump ball, I know it's a personal situation, but we, the good part is you don't really have time to react at that point. It's just Will steps in, just get our matchups and just try to, play sound basketball offensively so that we can, establish ourselves in the first quarter and give ourselves momentum and make our presence felt so you're not chasing, because you understand without Jimmy, you are a different team. And thankfully we were able to do that early. And, the plus minus of the second unit, Melt, Al, BP, Buddy coming in, playing some great minutes. It was by committee.
Steph, how rewarding was it to see Buddy get those first quarter minutes and the immediate impact that he made?
Yeah, he's been putting in work behind the scenes. You all see him during the games. He has such a good energy about him, lifting the team, talking, smiling, having a good time, even though things haven't gone his way. And, for him to get rewarded like that, but also be ready, it's a tough, ask, especially, again, not knowing Jimmy wasn't going to play until, 2 seconds before the game. He has to kind of rework his mind, to get ready, and he did that.
You seem to really like that three that he made right in front of your guys' bench, too.
Yeah, for sure. We love a shooter. It was a tough angle, tough shot, but that's what he does.
Steph, 3 straight games where at least 10 players from Warriors have made a three. What's working in terms of creating those open shots?
Proper spacing, keeping our turnovers low. So usually when you're doing that, even if some are tough looks, like guys get a rhythm and the morale of the offense is high the whole game. Confidence builds from that, and then you make shots. And we have capable shooters all up and down the roster. To your point, though, it's how you create good looks that gets everybody involved. So it's a fun way to play, not knowing who's going to get it on any possession.
You guys led wire to wire this game. How much of a difference does that make for you to be able to get an extra breather, take some extra time on the bench, going into a tough road stretch ahead?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple games recently where starters haven't either not played the whole fourth quarter or, to your point, been able to get some rest the last parts of the game because we've had a significant lead. Our defense has been great, and playing with the lead, executing early in the game so that you make it as easy as possible on yourself. You can withstand runs a little easier knowing, this is 2026 NBA and talent everywhere, so teams are going to get hot for portions of the game. But when you look up and it's a 6-point lead as opposed to chasing the whole game, it's just a different vibe, and we've benefited from good starts. Even the Knicks game, we were down 17 in the first, but we came back relatively quick so that the second half had a different kind of momentum to it.
How does it also feel playing against a younger guy like Concanipple, who obviously grew up, has a similar-ish play style, a lot of threes, I think the fastest rookie to 100 threes. How does it feel seeing that direct impact of your game on the younger players? Do you give him any advice? Any other talking with that?
No, I haven't talked to him much, but just the way the game is going. I know I've had influence on that, but he's super talented. Like you said, it's a vision of what's possible in the league. Because when I was a rookie, I don't know how many attempts I had, but it wasn't anywhere close to what it is now. And he shoots it at a high clip too. So, you love that, belief in the young guys who put the work in and have developed an identity around shooting the ball at a high level, volume, and efficiency. So, the sky's the limit for him.
Steph, you've always been open about how cool it's been for you to follow in your dad's footsteps. After all these years, is there more of an appreciation about what you and Seth have accomplished on top of, your dad getting his jersey retired and being in this for so long as kind of the family business?
Yeah, the longevity of it all, when he played 16 years in the league, that sounded insane to me when I first got it to this level. I know for Seth the same. And, now in my 17th year, this is Seth's 13th, something like that. It's just crazy that, I've eclipsed that. Seth is, on his way, just understanding what it takes to not only make it to this level, but, establish yourself, create a legacy and longevity out of it. And it's even, special just knowing he's still a part of an organization where I get to see him twice a year and he gets to call games and try to stay as neutral as possible. When he's he called all the Seth games last year, with Charlotte. So it's just cool to have that bond and still be able to talk basketball.
And Steph, when you look at the contribution that Anthony Melton's made just recently, just talk about his presence, how he's been a spark, a catalyst for you guys off the bench. And, there's times when he ignites the offense, even if you're having a slow game in the beginning. Just talk about his presence. And then is this something you guys envisioned when you guys got him last year before he went down with his injury?
Yeah, it's exactly what we need and what we envision him, or how because he's contributed. Just the idea of he's just a gamer. Like, he can put the ball on the floor, he can create. He's knockdown shooter, and then what he does defensively, being a disruptor on the ball, playing passing lanes, just making winning plays. And his aggressiveness to score has helped us no matter who he's out there with, because, certain guys, me, Jimmy, are going to get a lot of attention. Then if you're, swinging it to the weak side and he's the one making the play, or he can even initiate and break people down off the dribble. Just gives us a whole nother look. So to the point of what he was last year before the injury and how he's worked to get back healthy, and the difference he's made since he's been in the lineup has been amazing, and he's continued to get better. I think bumping his minutes up and looking stronger every day.
Steph, does it bother you in any way being guarded the way they did in a regular season game tonight?
There's a part of you that fights it just because it's not real basketball, but there's also a part of it is flattering. Just knowing that you demand that much attention, and also what it does to create shots for other guys on the floor. So, and I've seen it all, so I know if that's how they want to guard, how I can be effective, not let it take me out of the game, but also kind of use it to our advantage as a team. And then it's also funny at times just how egregious it is. There's one possession, I got to find I'm actually going to get the footage. I actually stayed back in the backcourt a long time on purpose just to see how long Sion would stay with me. So that was a fun one.
Yeah, there's a clip of Colin Sexton covering you when you left the court.
Yeah, we both knew what we were doing there. We were having fun.
Steph, not just 10 different players making a three in 3 straight games, but the team as a whole, 20 or more threes in the last 3 games. Is this the kind of shooting you guys think you can get regularly, or is this just a hot streak?
I mean, we shoot a lot of threes in general, but the type of threes, the ball moving, and then if you can do that on top of having low turnovers, that's just confidence building. You're going to have nights where you shoot it. Well, I think we've had a couple nights we've been close to 50%. We've had some nights where we've been in the low 30s, but you don't want to ride that emotional roller coaster. You kind of understand the type of offense that we play, the type of shots we're going to get, and on the whole, you'd hope that there'd be more nights like this. So I like where we're at.
All right, that's Steph Curry post game after the Warriors knocked off the Hornets 136-116. And yeah, a couple more notes about the Warriors shooting. The last 3 games, Warriors score 119 points on Tuesday versus Portland, 47% from deep, or from the field, make 23 threes, shoot 40% from downtown. 10 players make a 3 in that game. Then a couple of nights ago, Thursday versus the Knicks, score 126 points, 54% from the field, 20 for 45 from downtown. That's 44%. 10 players make a 3. And then tonight versus Charlotte, 136 points, 55% from the field, 23 for 52 from downtown. That's 44% from downtown. And again, 10 players made a 3. And all of this is without any crazy games from Steph. He was really good on Thursday, scored 27 points on Thursday, was 4 for 9 from downtown. He was awesome. But he was 2 for 8 from deep on Tuesday versus Portland, 2 for 8 again tonight. And part of that is the defense. The Hornets were playing on him, and more on that in just a second. But those numbers are absurd. Last 3 games, 23 made threes on 40% from deep, 20 made threes on 44% from deep, 23 made threes on 44% from deep. And again, that's without Steph going, Steph. Sometimes Steph will make 10 threes in a night, go 10 for 15 from deep, and he'll just single-handedly carry a team to a great shooting night. That has not been the case. This has been truly team effort. Everyone's shooting the ball well. And the Warriors are the first team in NBA history to have 10 or more players hit at least 1 3 in 3 consecutive games. Let that sink in. In all of NBA history, the Warriors in their last 3 games are the first team ever to have 10 or more players hit at least 1 3 in 3 consecutive games. The first time that has ever happened. It's why I wanted to ask Steph there at the end, is this just a hot streak, or is this what you guys think of yourselves as a shooting team? And he didn't directly say, no, this is who we are, and I think he's right in saying that. You're not going to make 23s every single night, but he said, given who they have, and who their shooters are and just how consistently they are getting those shooters good looks, they expect more nights like this than, say, like the Atlanta night where they could not make them for whatever reason. They just were not going in. They were still getting good looks. And if you just get good looks consistently, if you are a team that has a handful of good shooters, which I think this team does have, then the odds are you're going to get more nights like tonight, like a couple of nights ago, like Tuesday, than you are going to get like Sunday when the Hawks were in town. So we will see where it goes from here moving forward for the Warriors. The other thing that he talked about, and it was a great question, about the defense that the Hornets were playing on him. And it essentially was just face guarding him, going, not even looking at the ball, just following him wherever he was on the court. There was one point where Zion James just stayed on Steph in the backcourt while the play was happening, in the front court. And Steph actively, purposefully chose to not run up the floor quickly because he wanted to see if they were going to stick on him all the way in the backcourt, and they did. There was another moment, I talked about this earlier, where Colin Sexton, during a dead ball, is following Steph around. During a dead ball, the ball was not even close to being inbounded, and Colin Sexton is following Steph around to the point where Steph says, I'm going to walk off the court down towards the tunnel. Let's see if this guy follows me. And he did. That's what the Hornets were doing. And Draymond Green was asked about it post-game, and he said, quote, "We made them pay for playing that gimmicky defense." He went on to say, "I mentioned this after the last game, that their coach played this gimmicky defense, and I had to make them pay because I've seen coaches fired for playing that defense, and it just doesn't work." That's Draymond talking about Charles Lee, the head coach of the Hornets, who, again, the strategy tonight for Charlotte was anybody but Steph, and we're going to do everything in our power to take Steph out of the game offensively, and credit Steph for making the right basketball decision in this game almost every single time. And it's a big reason why the Warriors put up 136 points tonight, shot 55% from the field, and made 23 more threes. All right, final couple of minutes with you here on a Warriors Wrap-Up. Mark Randy with you. If you have a last-second thought or a question to get out, you can do so now. 888-957-9570. We will get to the scores around the West, but first, really quickly, I want to make sure I pay off my promise to the 408 who texted in a bit ago on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. The 408 writes, do you feel like the Warriors have really turned a corner, or do you need to see at least a handful more games, especially against some better teams? A 408, I think both can be true to a certain extent. The Warriors, in my opinion, there's no doubt they have turned a corner. They're 11-4 in their last 15 games. That constitutes like being on a roll. Like, they're playing really good basketball. I'd have to go through and look at each team's last 15. I would venture to guess the Warriors' 11-4 mark over the course of 15 games is probably one of the best 15-game stretches, current 15-game stretches in the league. You look at what some of the other teams have done just in their last 10 games. The best 10-game stretch for any team in basketball right now is a tie. Actually, it might just be the Clippers at 8-2. The Clippers are 8-2. The next best is 7-3. So, again, I'd have to I could open up what the Clippers have done in their last 15 games. I don't believe they have had it going for that long, but let's see. Actually, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They are 12-3 in their last 15 games. The Clippers are. So the Warriors are one game off that Clippers pace, but it might be Clippers and then Warriors as the two hottest teams in basketball over the course of 15 games. They've absolutely turned a corner. Now, have they beaten a bunch of the best teams in basketball over that stretch? No. Their most impressive win during this stretch, maybe it's Phoenix at home. Phoenix is a quality basketball team, and they won again today. More on that in a little bit. The win versus Milwaukee isn't like amazing. Milwaukee has issues, but that's not an easy team to beat. They beat the Knicks, but they're without Jalen Brunson. No, there's not like a clear-cut, like, hell of a win over a great team. So I get the question that came in from the 408. I do think, though, a lot of what the Warriors do is about them, or what they haven't been doing early in the season is about them, less so about opponents. They've lost to so many teams you feel like they should beat on paper. So they have turned a corner just based on what they're doing, what they're not doing. They're not turning the ball over as much. They are making their open threes now. They were not doing that earlier. So that is, for me, enough to constitute a turnaround. Now, does that mean I think they're one of the 4 best teams in the West? No. I think to answer your question, 408, I still need to see a lot more in order for that, for me to feel that. Do I think they can absolutely be a top 6 seed in the West? I think they can. I think they can get there. But we will see, of course, how the rest of the season goes. There's still 39 games left, and it is going to start getting more difficult again. Miami on Monday, Toronto on Tuesday to close out this 8-game homestand, then in Dallas on Thursday, and then consecutive games in Minnesota versus the T-Wolves. Ant Edwards, I think, scored 55 points tonight in a loss to Wemby and the Spurs, but that's always going to be a difficult game, Minnesota, and you have them in consecutive games. You have Detroit and Philadelphia in your next homestand. That's not going to be easy, either of those games. Phoenix and LA, the Lakers are coming up. San Antonio, Boston, Denver, those are all on the radar in February, so it's going to get a lot more challenging. The point for the Warriors is this was the time to turn your season around, and they're doing it. They're doing it. I don't know what all of you guys think. I said in this 11-game stretch, 10 games at home, 1 game in LA versus the Clippers, 8-3 should be their goal. Right now, they're 6-3 in this stretch. If you just beat Miami and beat Toronto, you have achieved that goal of 8-3, which I think was pretty lofty. Like 7-4 would not be terrible. 8-3 is what I set for them, and they're 2 wins away from doing that. And tonight, by the way, you didn't have to push Steph terribly hard. Jimmy did not play. Maybe that ups your chances of winning both those games on that back-to-back versus Miami and Toronto. All right. Let's take a look at the other scores from around the NBA. I believe the game between the Blazers and the Lakers just went final. Yes, it did. Before that one, we have Suns and Knicks. The Suns beat the Knicks in New York tonight. Let's check. Did Jalen Brunson play in that game? Did he just miss the Warrior game, or did he miss this one as well? He also did not play in this game. So the Warriors got a little bit of a break by playing the Knicks without Brunson. So did the Suns, and the Suns, just like the Warriors, took advantage. The Suns beat the Knicks 106-99. Not the greatest news for the Warriors there. And then the other important matchup for the Warriors as far as their race in the Western Conference standings goes, it is the Trailblazers in Portland knocking off the Lakers 132-116. The Blazers blitzed the Lakers for 40 points in the first quarter, and they used that to win the game by 16 points, 132-116. So, with that, the updated Western Conference standings with a Lakers loss and a Suns win, and a Warriors win, and a Blazers win. The Lakers are now the 6th. The Rockets, idle, jumped the Lakers because the Lakers lost and fell down half a game. So it's Rockets are 5. I could also add in the Minnesota loss. Minnesota's the 4 seed, and they are a game up on the Rockets, who are the 5. Half game behind the Rockets, the Lakers at 6, and they are percentage points better than the Suns, who won today, for 7. The Warriors, though, are a game and a half behind both those teams. So the Warriors now only a game and a half behind the 6 seed, 2 games behind the 5 seed, and 3 games behind the 4 seed as a result of the win tonight. Portland's win also means they keep pace with the Warriors. They stay 3 games behind the Warriors. But good news with that Lakers loss, the Warriors are now only a game and a half out of the 6th seed in the Western Conference, which you're beginning to really see that as a possibility if you are the Warriors, and that's what happens when you go 11-4 over the course of 15 games. Hell of a stretch for the Warriors. We'll see if they can keep it up coming up on Monday when Andrew Wiggins and the Miami Heat are in town. Yes, Wiggins is back in town, making his return to Golden State for the first time since he was traded for Jimmy Butler. I imagine it's going to be emotional. Andrew Wiggins is one of Steve Kerr's favorite players. Of course, he helped win a championship in 2022. I guarantee you there will be a video tribute to Wiggins before the game. Andrew Wiggins makes his return to Golden State with the Miami Heat coming up on Monday. Tip-off set for 7. All right. That's going to do it for Warriors Wrap-Up tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in as the Dubs knock off the Hornets 136-116. The Warriors, 5 games over 500 for the first time all season at 24-19. And they are, again, 11-4 in their last 15 games, and things are feeling up in Dub Nation. Okay, shout out to my guy Cam Williams behind the glass back in our San Francisco studios. No one out there is going to know it, but my guy just worked like a triple shift, doing everything behind the scenes for us today. Very appreciative of all your hard work, as always, Cam. Thank you as well to everyone for tuning in and interacting tonight here on Warriors Wrap-Up. My name is Mark Randy, signing off. I will talk to you next time. Evan Giddings will be back on Monday, and he'll have your pre- and post-game for Warriors and Heat. But I'll catch up with you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Mark Randy, signing off. Have a good night. Unfortunately for the Niners, their season is over, but the Warriors kept up the winning ways. And enjoy more football tomorrow. Thanks for listening on 95.7 The Game.
My name is Whitney Allen. I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online.